Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have a really big update when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, as you guys know, we've actually been seeing some pretty decent-ish news. I think we're on the up and up when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro. We're seeing the PSSR issues getting slightly solved. We're seeing the overall game performance issues getting a little bit better. And at the end of the day, we've just been seeing cool updates. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an intriguing one. There's actually a lot of stuff to break on down, where the PlayStation 5 Pro on Call of Duty actually is, well, a lot better than a lot of people are expecting. Now, as we've been seeing a lot of the PS5 Pro coverage over here, Digital Foundry has a cool video which we're going to be reacting to and kind of talk about too as well when it comes to the articles themselves. And just the big deal, like the high level of this, is that it's actually like good. Like everything tested out here is that they kind of basically almost built this for the ground up, which is a little bit on the weird side because it's technically an Xbox title as of right this second, but Activision apparently doesn't care, and they did put a lot of tender loving care into the PS5 Pro. The PSSR is actually being utilized and apparently fixed, as well as everything's running really, really nice. And I think at the end of the day, there's actually some pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to go through the actual article itself over here from Eurogamer, as well as also highlighting up the actual gameplay itself from here on the PS5 Pro. Is also over here from Digital Foundry. So all around, actually a really cool vibe and everything I'm happy to get to go and see. Now, I do want to go and have a quick announcement too as well. We actually have had the PlayStation 5 Pro giveaway winner. Actually, they finally responded over here too as well. We had a Joseph C, and so congrats to them. I think they actually are a lot done in, and everything is going good with that one. So thank you so much for all you guys being subscribed in the first place. We will actually have a few more giveaway announcements in the near future too as well, so stay tuned for that. And of course, thank you guys all so much for watching all the gaming news. We also had a lot of people subscribe to the second YouTube account, which is linked down below. So thank you. We're going to probably start doing some streams as well as other stuff out there for the new year, so please go and check that out and subscribe. But of course, subscribe here if you guys are new. And of course, we also have 2 Twitter accounts down below. I might just have the giveaway links still up there, but either way, subscribe down there. We're probably start doing a lot more gaming news in the second YouTube account, which is the Scrumming I think YT account. So definitely go subscribe there if you guys want to. And as well, we'll also be doing a holiday stream on Twitch, so subscribe down there for the New Year's, getting drunk and vibing. Sorry for the little sellout, so if you guys don't mind, of course, the field links are down below. Leave a like and let's go dive in the video itself. Also, quick reminder, we're going to take a little quick break too as well for the YouTube content. Sorry for all the little announcements on here, so keep that in mind. We're going to maybe have a few more sporadic videos as the new year kind of starts. Be on the lookout for the channel for more updates and all the cool announcements and changes we'll be having on the channel in the very near future. Sorry I forgot to sneak that all on in. Hope you guys don't mind. We'll touch on some of this more stuff in the near future, but let's go through. First and foremost, a little bit of gameplay over in the background over here. This is an honor in regards to the Digital Foundry account. Now, I do also have the article over here from Eurogamer discussing this, and I'll have maybe a little bit like a few glances over here myself for their gameplay. But the high level is, as of right now, as we're reacting to this, the PS5 Pro is actually kind of banging. It's doing quite well. It's looking really cool, and they've had a chance to go and add up a lot more different types of extra shadows, different effects, and of course, there was a little bit of a PSSR like shimmer issue, which I do believe is in the works over here to be making sure it's all running very, very well. And there was also a bit more extra bigger details. This is somewhat above my pay grade when it comes to what everyone's looking at over here. So from this one, they actually have actually funny enough, I'm going through the article itself, there's actually a bunch of unique enhancements over the base PS5, which is kind of what we want. Anyway, where there have been weekly more unique insights thanks to the recent trip they had, as they were talking to over here, from Michael Drabot, who is basically the big like rendering director and making sure all these things are working out well over there when they went to Poland. Crazy enough. I actually am Polish, but I've never been to Poland myself. So had a chance to basically have upgrades from the developer, but as well also have a chance to upgrade from the console. So basically both the game itself has actually been improved, as you can see some back and forth over here, like slightly better shadows effects. Like I think the shadowing just looks on that. This is a very easy, if you guys look to the screen right there and some of these details, the shadow effects are very good. So basically for this one too as well, it's actually a very deep upgrade, as they're saying, from these articles and videos. And while some might be more on the subtle side, a lot more of them too as well are pretty big when it comes to frame rate performances and upgrades. So the big summary for this one is the PS5 Pro users get improved visual settings while running at 60 Hz, plus the adaptation of the PSSR to boost image quality with 4K as the target output. Because as you know, a lot of these things are also baseline, like say 1080p, but then upscaled to as well, or running at a higher frame rate. So basically on that one too, they basically could also run it at a 60 Hz, plus they also have all the big adoptions too as well. They're basically just improving everything. They're improving the console, they're improving the system, they're utilizing the PS5 Pro, PSSR, all that stuff together. Also, is an anti-lag VRR feature that is only added on the PS5 Pro. So basically brand new features that even the consoles don't have, letting everything run at above a 60 FPS while using the default graphics mode. And so there's also broad performance boost improvement over there with the 120 Hz enabled, where the PS5 Pro reverts to the base PS5 visual settings. But then obviously since the better hardware and the AI and the PSSR, it actually will pretty much double the frame rate, which is insane. So starting with the 60 Hz mode, there are 4 improved visual settings, starting with a 2 to 4x increase in shadow resolution, as we're kind of going through a lot of these shadows, and I do think they look actually quite nice on all these different types of maps. And as well, it's basically just affects just the quality. Like we're just seeing everything like a lot more in depth, which is very good. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more on the subtle side too. You kind of do have to see it like side to side, but I do think from even based on these videos, you actually can go and see it. Now, as well as one of the bigger ones out there they're highlighting over here is improved global illumination. So specifically, a screen space GI method is added just for the PS5 Pro, simulating light bounce between surfaces, which is really cool. I've always loved the idea of like the ray tracing and the AI integrations with that myself. So while some of this stuff might be more subtle, and it also demands switching between the base PS5 and the Pro to kind of fully appreciate it, but a lot of people are saying this is really, really nice. And a lot of these are more subtle improvements, as we know from the PS5 Pro, but it's still nice to see. So basically, the SSGI setting is something the team was especially proud of as a rasterized technique that attempts to mimic the quality of path tracing. It's calibrated to create as comparable of a result to the team's internal path trace reference. So though obviously at a fraction of the cost, this also extends though to the way the ambient shade is implemented. With the improved SSAO on the Pro, there's a richer bed of shade added to the scene, and most interior shots like the headquarters, creating a more lifelike final frame. Basically, it's kind of like, you know how sometimes movies have like those cool black frames and it kind of makes things look a little bit more cinematic. It's kind of like that with shadows. It tries to make the game look a little bit more realistic and look nicer, better lighting effects, and it seems kind of cool. They also have the screen space reflections, or SSR, and they're basically also improved for the Pro, where the ambient it is to once again match the team's internal path trace reference as closely as possible. So it's, I mean, some of the words for these articles might be a little bit weird, but they're basically like having multiple teams working on this, and they're trying their best to make it seem as optimized and utilize the technology the best they can. Because some of the wordings in these articles that I'm referencing are a little bit more on the lower side. I'm basically kind of like reacting to both, if that makes sense. So in comparing it with the base PS5, the main difference in the Pro is the accuracy of how reflections are occluded by objects in the scene. So switching back and forth in the skyline map, some things like the PS5 Pro greatly reduce the light leak around geometry, walls, tables, etc. Basically just making sure the lighting effects look more realistic. And they have a chance to kind of go and have a chance to go and see all this type of stuff. It looks a little bit better. And it also basically has like a cool domino effect too as well when it comes to reflections, where like if one thing starts looking better and the other things start looking better due to the fact of how the technology itself actually works, what had a chance to go and see. So it does actually make sense too as well, because it may not be super subtle or during cutscenes or pre-rendered scenes, but it's still nice to see. Another big change they've had a chance to note for the PS5 Pro is the move to the native upscaler. So PlayStation's PSSR basically engages in the default 60 FPS mode, and in terms of the raw metrics, runs at basically 1440p internally, before then once again being upscaled to 4K. It is kind of a big upscaler. So this is a dynamic resolution too, with adjustments made horizontally over here to the 1440p as the lowest for the extreme cases to keep a stable frame rate. So in terms of the perceptual payoff, the result is a clean one, but also at times more artifact prone than Engine's own custom TAA, as still used on base PS5s, as they are teethering issues where the PSSR introduces white, flickering pixels in very specific scenes. So as I mentioned, kind of the big deal is that they have had a chance to have these like adjustments, utilize the AI, and they have these different types of resolution scales. It kind of flows around depending. But of course, we did have these weird things like with the shimmering issues we've covered a lot on the channel. So due to the fact that they have all these shimmerings in specific scenes, this noise kind of appeared more in like darker areas and shaded areas, basically because how the AI would kind of work. It's like trying to copy paste stuff and it kind of pops on out, and then maybe have a chance to get like a little piece of light or other stuff, and it kind of makes all the shimmering getting kind of a little bit rough too as well. So apparently there also is smearing too, even from other outside AI upscalers, so not even just from the PSSR, but I think it's not as defined, but it is still there, but they're trying their best to make it look a little bit better, and that is being like both noted and also trying to be improved upon. It's also, so first and foremost, they're saying it is confirmed that there's a fix ready in the pipeline for the PSSR artifacts. I may even want to do a really quick short video on that, like a 1 or 2 minute long video, because I do think this like specific line is important. But they're basically saying there is a pipeline fix for these artifacts, one that should roll out soon once the prevalent patch passes through QA. The cause, it turns out, is simply down to the PSSR not being fine-tuned for denoising the image in its current state. So like I said, I might even kind of re-quote this on a separate quick video, so if you guys see like a recap to mine. The team's own TAA, though, when it comes to the PSSR, and it's not just being fully utilized over there, still has its own advantages. Kind of how, like, say, like Fortnite was trying to make its own AI instead, too, as well, make it work kind of out. So it's basically a little bit more faster, and other AIs might be a little bit better, and other things as well. It just seems better. But basically saying the PSSR, though, works well at anti-aliasing the image, but less so in the denoising the flicker created by the game's shadows. Basically saying it's good at some things and bad at the other, which is maybe why a lot of these games are starting to get this random flickering issue. So it's intriguing to go and say, and I almost want to talk about that more in a separate video, but either way. So thankfully, PSSR still works well in most scenes with the software-based variable rate shading in place. Basically saying it still is good, but that is a big enough issue that people notice. For every group of pixels, the game can render at full, half, and a third or quarter resolution. So edges and hard points in geometry are rendered at full res. For example, a form of foveated rendering is in place here too, putting a priority on details in the screen's center as well. So basically the VRS only just made the cut 5 days before Black Ops 6 release, so it's just a lot of the stuff's been really tight too as well. So it does actually have a performance boost and improvements on all these various things, and there's just a lot of different types of AIs that are being integrated and cross-sampled, and it's just a lot. But there is like big improvements. The high level for this is the PS5 Pro is getting better frame rate, very more consistent frames, and of course as well, like they are fixing the PSSR, and just kind of all around nice. Like it's basically improving shadows and other features all throughout the map itself. So on top of that too, in terms of frame rate, testing the Pro hardware. This is actually good, believe it or not. Where the Black Ops 6 already ran optimally at 60 FPS at base PS5, which is great to go and see in the campaign mode. And even with the Pro's visual upgrades to SSGI, SSR, and AO and shadows, and so basically all this extra stuff included, and the taxing upscaler too as well, because it is running in the background, they still have a 60 FPS lock there. So even with all the better details, it's still good. And there's also one way to stress test the base PS5 to force a repeatable drop in the form of its split screen mode, so using the derelect multiplayer map and fixing a second player's viewpoint across the action, base PS5 suffers constant drops to 50 FPS. Although if you go to the same thing with the PS5 Pro, it seems like all the same frame rate with the same exact situation, basically just having two people facing separate areas, so there's a lot more rendering going on the map. They actually still had the consistent frames, and as well, everything's also very much improved. So kind of the high level stuff to go and see. They also have a lot of anti-lag stuff with like the VRR as well on the 60 FPS mode. Basically trying to go and say that the 60 FPS mode with better resolutions and fidelity is very, very nice. I mean, so you basically either have consistent frames if you have a lot more rendering going on, the console renders better, and of course the consistent frames are very, very nice to go and see. And there's another good example in the video itself right now that we're looking at is just the Pro just has a more stable frame rate when it comes to the gameplay itself. So it runs nice, but actually like 30 frames or so in this higher hertz mode is kind of what we're talking about out here as well. So basically, it's just really nice. It's just everything we're having a chance to go and see on top of this is just looking and feeling good. We see a lot of things coming up over here in the first place, and there's just a lot. Like I could probably sit over here and kind of talk through a lot more of these articles, which is kind of crazy. But I think the high level is just that the console itself runs well. Like there's definitely a few more lines if you want to talk about this really quickly. But for the high level notes for all this, as I've been written throughout this, just that everything is kind of cool. Like we may want to talk about more of the actual engine too as well, although that's just the game itself being good. I think you guys care more about the console stuff, if anything. But basically, just at the end of the day, is that the console itself runs better. The PSSR is being able to be fixed. The AI is better, whether they're using the PS5 PSSR or just their own different types of AI upscalers. It is running nice, and it's kind of an intriguing topic that Xbox themselves put so much love into PlayStation, because PlayStation itself is their competitor. I mean, they are making money on it, and they might get more sales, but it really is kind of giving Call of Duty the best vibe on a PlayStation console, which is crazy. But at the end of the day, the AI is running good. It can be fixed. The baseline 60 FPS in the Pro is better. It just looks nicer, better frames, better performance. The 120 Hz mode also is better, and just everything is running a lot smoother, which I think is a huge improvement nonetheless. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Like I said, subscribe if you guys are new. Follow the Twitch for our fun little New Year stream. Definitely the second YouTube account too as well if you guys would like. We have all the affiliate links down below. We have everything else too on top of that. And I just appreciate you guys all so much for watching in the first place. I love you guys.